Alright, man, peace. So for those of you brothers who were fortunate enough to catch the Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter Jr. lightweight unification bout tonight, the fight pretty much went how I thought it was going to go. I have to give Robert Easter Jr. credit. I predicted that Mikey Garcia would most likely stop him in rounds 9 or 10. But it was very clear that Robert Easter has a lot of heart. He has a lot of class, which he showed after the bout when Mikey Garcia was declared the winner. He showed a great deal of decorum in defeat. Robert Easter Jr. did. I have to give him a lot of credit for that. Once again, I thought that Mikey would stop him by TKO in rounds 9 or 10. And it did look like in round 9, Robert Easter Jr. and Mikey Garcia were all set to make my prediction come true. Mikey pretty much had him pinned against the ropes and was demolishing him. But it was very clear that his conditioning and his heart, I'm talking about Robert Easter Jr., were able to make him last through the round and to the end of the fight. He showed, much like how I predicted in my preview video, that he has a lot of the same intangibles as his friend Adrian Broner, and that even in bouts where they can see that they're in against a better man, that they're willing to take the punishment and go all 12 rounds. And there's a lot that can be said about someone with those type of qualities, because there are many people who would just quit. So once again, I have to give the brother Robert Easter a lot of credit, and it's very clear that he has a strong father figure in his life, a strong father in his life, because not only did his father raise him to be a boxer, you can tell by their rapport that he respects his father a great deal, and it shows in how he handles himself. He doesn't back down, he doesn't fold, and he knows how to lose like a man. In life, we're going to take losses. You just have to bounce back. It's okay. But once again, congratulations to Mr. Mikey Garcia. He showed a lot of the wrinkles that I stated that he would show in this fight. He was able to adapt. He never started to doubt himself at any point in the fight. He realized that he was up against it, against a very talented fighter with a lot of measurables that he was going to have to overcome. Mikey Garcia, I'm talking about. Mikey knew that he was going to have to overcome many of Robert Easter Jr.'s measurables, meaning Robert Easter's advantages in height and reach. And he was able to do so by sticking to his game plan. I said coming into the fight that Robert Easter was going to have to continuously move, jab to the body, hold, make sure that his counters were sharp, and that he was cognizant of the fact that Mikey wanted to hit him with left hooks, particularly to the body and to the head. And he was able to do so early. First 2 rounds, I thought that Robert Easter won. Third round, he got sloppy. He decided that he was going to lean up against the ropes and try to act like he was Floyd Mayweather, when the fight plan that I gave him and that I believe his corner gave him was working. He was jabbing to the body, he was keeping distance, and he was pivoting. If he had been able to keep that up for the entirety of the fight, I think that he would have given himself a chance to win. I still don't think that he would have won. I think that Mikey's experience and his overall skill set would have won the day, but I think that the fight would have been much closer had he stuck to that game plan. Round 3, he decided that he was going to lean up against the ropes and try to do a mixture of the Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll and the Ali rope-a-dope, and it did not work. For whatever reason, Paulie Malignaggi was claiming that Robert Easter needed to hold his ground, when all he was doing when he was quote-unquote holding his ground was taking flush shots to the head. He did not move his head enough. Whenever Mikey Garcia stepped forward, he was able to land flush shots, which is not good, especially when you have an 8-inch reach advantage. There's no way that a fighter with an 8-inch reach advantage should be staying there in the middle of the ring, allowing the shorter armed fighter to nullify the advantages that he has. You're not supposed to do that. He's supposed to fight at range and make Mikey Garcia overcome those deficiencies, and Robert never really did that. But once again, congratulations to Mikey Garcia. Excellent fighter. As we can see here, this was the beginning shot in the combination that knocked Robert Easter down. Very, very sharp left jab to the face. He followed it up with a very sharp overhand right, and I stated in the preview video that Robert was going to have to watch for the overhand rights over the top. Now, this one happened to be the second punch in the combination. It wasn't an overhand right counter, which I thought that Mikey would be looking to throw throughout the fight. He really did not try that shot very much. I believe that he figured that the 8-inch reach advantage for Robert was going to be too much for him to try too many right-hand counters over the top. I was surprised at how successful Mikey was with his left jab. That tells me that Robert had great difficulty in the fight, understanding exactly what distance he should be fighting from. And it was very obvious when they came to the center ring for the stare down, and also right before the opening bell, that Robert was very nervous, and it's understandable. Mikey Garcia is a future Hall of Famer in boxing. He is a 4-division world champion, and this was a major step up for Robert Easter. I thought that he fared pretty well, but he still has to go to the drawing board. He still has a lot to learn. But once again, this was the second punch in that combination that knocked Robert Easter down. Very flush right-hand shot. Mikey's very good at those 1-2 combinations. He steps in with the jab and then takes another half step in with the right hand. He's able to knock down many opponents with that combination, and he has power in both hands. This here's the left hook that Mikey caught Robert Easter Jr. flush on the jaw with. Knocked him down. It was pretty much a flash knockdown. Robert was not really hurt, but by the end of the fight, you could see the wear and tear had taken its toll on Robert. Mikey had hit him with many flush shots to the body and to the head throughout the fight. It was a very rugged fight. Robert is a very rugged fighter, as I stated. The first time I really sat down and watched an entire fight of his was when he fought Richard Kami a little bit over a year ago to win the IBF lightweight title. It was a great fight. Both fighters showed a lot of heart. And I stated that I believe that Mikey Garcia sat down and watched a lot of that fight because Richard Kami was able to get off on Robert. So that fight showed that even though Robert is pretty much going to be taller than everyone else at the 135-pound weight class, that he's very hittable. And that once again tells me that he has issues understanding distance. Floyd Mayweather was about 5'7.5", and he was far harder to hit at 135 than Robert Easter is. That shows you the importance of timing and distance, and how that can be the difference between a non-pareil boxer like a Floyd Mayweather and a fighter who's just very talented and good and on the come up like a Robert Easter, who's about 3 or 4 levels down from what Floyd Mayweather was at 135. But once again, this was the left hook that Mikey Garcia finished his combination with that floored Robert in the 3rd round. I thought that Robert once again was doing very well in the first 2 rounds, sticking to the game plan that his corner gave him, and obviously I also gave him in my fight preview. He was jabbing to the body. He was circling. He was not giving Mikey any easy targets. He was also pivoting whenever Mikey was trying to corner him. It was not until or unless he allowed himself to be up against the ropes or to try to quote-unquote stand his ground in the center of the ring that Mikey was able to get off. I understand that it takes a great deal of mental discipline, and it's easy for me to say that he should be able to evade a great fighter like Mikey Garcia for 12 rounds. But once you get to that level of boxing, that's the difference between great fighters and good fighters, great champions and regular champions. They have the mental discipline and the physical fortitude to execute a game plan for 12 rounds. Here goes Robert Easter after Mikey Garcia knocked him down with that left hook. Robert looks like a 3-year-old in his first day at preschool playing in a sandbox, doesn't he? Okay, so now let's hear what Mikey Garcia has to say about the fight and how things transpired.
Mauro, thank you very much. Mikey, congratulations. What does it mean now to be the unified 135-pound lightweight champion?
Well, it's a great accomplishment. I feel great being here in LA. All my fans that came out to support, I want to thank everyone. Thank everybody who always supported me. And now we're back. I told you I was coming for bigger things. Now we're one step closer to achieving that.
You always want to fight the best, and tonight it was Robert Easter. Did you ever feel at any point that you were in peril in this fight?
You know, I knew he was a tough opponent, a tough champion. He's a true warrior. I prepared for the best. Robert Easter, he came in, gave a great fight. I was a better fighter. I was in control most of the night, and I did what I had to do to win.
He came out early and threw a lot more punches. Were you just biding your time, trying to figure out what to do?
Yeah, I like to stay patient early on, figure out my opponent. He had a good game plan to try to keep that distance, keep that reach. It was just a matter of timing and finding that range that suited me best. Once I started getting that rhythm, started getting to work.
And then you found that timing here in the 3rd round as we take a look at it, with that big right hand followed by the left.
Yeah, well, we wanted to land that right hand. I landed the right hand, I followed it with the left hook, I caught him right on the chin as he was backing up, and that's what put him down. It was just a perfect punch around the chin.
Yet he came back, and he was able to be very game in the following couple of rounds. Was there any concern at that time?
No, no concern. I just had to wait my time. I knew he wasn't hurt to put him out, so I don't want to risk either. He has some good hand speed, so I had to just be patient, be careful.
5-0 since you had the layoff. How different of a fighter are you?
I just more experienced. I'm a hungrier fighter. I'm better than ever. I'm in my prime.
All right, so now you're a 4-division champion. You're a unified champion now. What's next? Is Errol Spence, as a lot of people have said, he's here this evening. Is that what you'd like to do? Go up 12 pounds and fight at 147?
I'm here for the biggest challenges. I don't know if there's anybody else with a bigger challenge than Errol Spence. I would fight at welterweight. I want to challenge myself to the fullest. I know he's up for any fighter. He's up to fight anybody. So that's what I want.
Do you think that can be made, and do you think that, in fact, that will happen?
I think there's a very high chance that it can be made. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think that's the next big fight coming up.
Mikey, you go up 12 pounds if you fight Errol Spence, and I know you're just coming off this right now, but do you think you have the power and the ability to face that much of a bigger man?
I feel I have the power and I have the skill set to compete at any division up into welterweight. He's the toughest guy at welterweight, the most feared man, so I want to challenge myself against him.
What does Django think?
Django, sí que sí, number one.
He's on board. All right. Mikey, congratulations.
I want to say thanks to everybody again. Toda mi gente, mi raza Michoacán, todo México. Muchas gracias por el apoyo. Also, big shout out, condolences to a friend. He passed away, Mr. Martin. James is a very close friend of mine. So I want to condolences to the family. Jeff Martin, thank you.
Mikey, thank you. Appreciate it. Great to have you back in Los Angeles.
Good job by Mikey Garcia in his performance tonight. Once again, he shows that he's unafraid to take on big challenges because, believe me, Robert Easter Jr. is a fighter that many prominent champions would have tried to avoid if for no other reason than the task that they would have tried to undertake in overcoming a fighter who's fighting in the lightweight division that happens to be 5'11" with a 76-inch reach. Those are normally dimensions that you don't start to encounter until you're facing middleweights or super middleweights. And in regards to Mikey Garcia stating that he wants to face Errol Spence, as I've already asserted in the preview video, that's pretty much a no-lose situation for Mikey Garcia. It's also a big money grab for Errol Spence. I'm pretty sure that that will be Mikey's next fight. They'll most likely be fighting sometime in November, maybe December, and that will be a mega fight. Initially, people will claim that the weight disparity will be too much, but by the time the fight comes along, they're going to sell it as the Black American fighter versus the Mexican fighter. And as we know, there's a long history of great Mexican fighters squaring off against great black fighters, particularly in the last 40 years or so. So they should not have much of a problem building up that fight, and I believe that by the time that fight does come around, that's going to be a huge event. I'll probably save my prediction in regards to who's going to win that fight and or how that fight's going to go until right before that fight officially pops off. Okay, so now let's hear what Robert Easter Jr. has to say.
What was the difference, in your opinion, here tonight?
You know, he was just a better man tonight. You know, I tip my hat off to Mikey. He's a true champion, true warrior. I'd like to thank all of my fans that came out from Toledo. You know, all the LA fans. You know, all the LA fans. You know, I appreciate you guys. You know, whenever we step in the ring, you know, we both put our lives on the line. And tonight, Mikey was the victorious.
Robert, you were throwing a lot more punches in the early going, yet your corner, your father and Kevin, were imploring you to throw the right hand. Was there a problem with your right hand?
No, I just couldn't find the timing. You know, I just couldn't find the timing, and like I said, I couldn't let it go.
What happened in the third round when you went down? He caught you with the good right and then the left, and only the second time that you've been down.
Just feet crossing. You know, he caught me with a clean shot, and you know, I went down. But you know, I got up like a true champion, a true warrior.
You're only 27 years old. This is your first loss. What would you like to do next?
You know, we go back to the drawing board. Whenever we win, lose, or draw, we go back to the drawing board and we work hard.
Robert, thank you. You're a class act and a great fighter.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I agree with that. Robert Easter Jr., you showed even more class after the fight than you showed during the fight, and you showed a great amount of class and heart during the fight. In regards to Jim Gray's question as to why Robert Easter Jr. was not throwing the right hand, Robert already answered it. He could not find the timing. Let me also add that oftentimes when fighters restrict their punching output to a jab, it's often because they don't want to leave themselves open for a counter. So it was very clear that, much like his compatriot Adrian Broner, he felt the power, especially to his body, when Mikey Garcia was hitting him, and he did not want to leave himself in a vulnerable position to be countered by Mikey Garcia. When fighters are in a competitive fight and they know that they're being hit, but they're not being hit in such a way that is debilitating, they will throw long exchanges, long combinations. When they're in a position where they should be opening up and they're restricting their output to just a jab, it's because they're fearful of what is coming back. And they know that if they get caught with something that they don't see, that it could be nighty-night. But once again, congratulations to Robert Easter Jr. He handled himself even better after the fight than he did during the fight, and he handled himself very well during the fight. You could tell very quickly that he understood that he was in the ring with someone with much more boxing experience than himself. He still handled himself very well. He's a lower level champion. Even when a great fighter becomes a champion in boxing, there's a whole new hierarchy that he has to climb up. First, boxers have to climb up the hierarchy of boxers, and then when they become a champion, they have to climb up the hierarchy of champions. And that's why great champions are fond of saying what? There's levels to this. So Robert Easter just has to take this as a learning experience. Hopefully, he'll be able to show some growth the next time that he has the opportunity for a mega fight. Because this is what we see in many of these big fights. There's a difference between all-time greats, and very goods. There's a reason why every time Zab Judah stepped up in class to fight a great fighter, he lost. Even Oscar De La Hoya, every time he stepped up to fight a great fighter, he would lose. Lost to Mayweather, lost to Bernard Hopkins, really lost to Sweet Pea, but got the decision. I mean, it is what it is. Here's the welterweight great, Errol Spence, laughing to himself as Mikey Garcia calls him out. It's very obvious that that fight is going to happen. Errol showed up at the fight looking like Eartha Kitt with the leopard print on. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that fight. It's very obvious, and I stated this in the aftermath of Errol's last fight in Texas Stadium, that he was going to have to find someone else to fight because Sean Porter and Danny Garcia are going to be fighting in a month or so. There's pretty much no contenders, no fighters with any real name recognition for him to fight, and I'm pretty sure that he doesn't just want to sit on the sidelines while all these other fighters are staying busy. He knows that the Terrence Crawford fight is not going to happen for at least another year, if it happens at all. So this Mikey Garcia fight makes a lot of sense, especially since Mikey has continuously called him out. Mikey has great name recognition, and by the time that fight comes along, a lot of people are going to believe that Mikey has a real shot. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Peace.